The Trade is brought to you by Vantage Markets, delivering one of Australia's most trusted and award-winning trading experiences. Explore smart trading at vantagemarkets.com.au.
Hello and welcome to The Trade. Great to be here with you. We've had the NAB business survey released just now, showing that business conditions eased in May to 0 index points. So conditions have fallen quite steadily over 2024 and now into 2025. While there was a slight lift in confidence, Sally Auld, who's the chief economist at NAB, said that that will be hard to maintain given that conditions continuing to ease. So by industry, the persistent weakness in retail business conditions and confidence aligns with that softer than expected pickup in consumption over the first quarter. Overall, Sally Auld says conditions remain weak. She says if it continues in the coming months, it very much makes it difficult for confidence to rise from current levels. So she says that they'll be watching for a more sustained softening in labor demand, with the employment index easing to below average levels. So that is the NAB business survey hitting the wires as we speak. Traders are also watching the US military temporarily deploying about 700 Marines to LA until more National Guard troops can arrive. That marks another escalation as the US President Donald Trump responds to street protests over his aggressive immigration policies there. Meantime, US-China trade talks are set to extend to a second day in London as top economic officials sought to diffuse a bitter dispute that has widened from tariffs to restrictions over rare earths. Oil prices hitting multi-week highs, as I mentioned, weaker US dollars behind that. Investors again still waiting for further news from those US-China trade talks in London. US Treasury auctions of notes and bonds this week are in focus as investors are looking to gauge market sentiment when it comes to US assets. Let's get across the trade. Peter McGuire from XM joins me now. Peter, we were talking about those trade discussions, I suppose you could call them, ongoing in London. It comes against a backdrop of a slowing economic growth in the UK. What do you see there?
Well, good morning, Nadine. Yes, absolutely. And they're the great issues that they face moving forward. It's going to be very difficult, from consumption when you're looking at housing prices, you're looking at retail sales and all the fabric of the economy. It's a pretty tough time, though the market, you're running at that UK 100 running at about 87 to 88.50 sort of range bound. There it is there. It's been range bound for a little while, about 13 trading sessions. And do we see a breakout? We're waiting for something fruitful and concrete trade talks with the USA, Nadine, and you may see it edge up there. But one of the good signs was that you saw, the ECB cutting rates last Thursday, but bigger than expected, as I mentioned, fall in UK house prices in May.
Now, we are watching the pound, so sterling.
Yep.
It's been a bit mixed. There's some UK employment data, I understand, that we're waiting for. Where are you seeing the pound?
Well, that's an interesting one. I mean, it has had a bit of a leg up, just a little bit, a touch. I don't suggest it's going to hit its 3-year high, as it says at the top right-hand corner for all the viewers, 1.3615. That was a 3-year high, or more than a 3-year high. A recovery above that breached trend line, it could shift sentiment back to the upside, potentially targeting 1.3590. I've got on the screen here now, you're looking at about 1.3557, Nadine. So we're certainly concerned as far as what happens with UK and US trade talks, and where does the US dollar trend over the rest of this month.
Yeah, it's been coming under some pressure. When we think about
under 99.
Yeah. So what does that do then to commodities, in particular WTI and oil?
Well, you've had a little bit of a rally, and it's been quite strong over the last couple of sessions. Certainly yesterday, crude oil futures remain in a consolidation phase, but you've had that decisive break above these trend lines. 65, where is it? I've got it 65.50 sort of number at the moment, 65.40, Nadine. A decisive break above that could open the door for further gains towards the 50% Fibonacci retracement at $67 and the 200-day simple moving average at $68.40. Again, you're in that summer driving season. You've got consumption across a lot of the world, but I think the overall theme was we're going to see softer oil prices, but they've certainly bounced over the last couple of sessions.
Yeah, we are watching oil with much interest, but also silver. Silver continues to touch those 13-year highs. What are the charts telling us going forward?
Look, it's been extraordinary if you're looking at where it was in April, and it's been parabolic really. And the overall theme is certainly underinvestment across that whole sector for the last couple of decades. People are saying now is $40 achievable, and I think it will be in that third quarter, Nadine. The overall momentum has been extraordinary, and gold had the big run up, and silver languished there for a long time. And maybe it's a little bit of catch up, that gold to silver ratio, if it was to get back down to the 60s or 70s from where it currently is. I feel as though that there's certainly further momentum to the upside, and the industrial demand is huge, as well as naturally from a investment standpoint, having it under the bed.
All right, so that's silver, WTI. Just a thought on Bitcoin, Peter, because it seems to have the wind behind it right now as well. Why?
Yeah, it's been very strong. 3% gain in the last 24 hours at the record highs. Again, the right-hand corner there, just shy of 112,000. You're at about 110,000 now. It's been strongly bid up, Nadine. And where it was on Thursday was about that 100,000. So it's put on 10% in that short window of time. It reached 112,000 on the 22nd of May. The overall mood is very bullish. And again, what's happening as far as demand out there, people haven't given up on it. They're absolutely, wrapped in it. So the overall theme, I think, is going to be stronger Bitcoin performance over the rest of 2025 and certainly June.
Right. Okay. Well, we have a lot to look at when it comes to markets around the globe. Just a thought, please, Peter, on where the ASX is sitting. So we are nearing record heights. Do you think that's achievable this week?
It could be. I mean, I'll look at broader markets. Let's have a look at where the Dow is. Dow, the S&P and the NASDAQ all performed, incredibly well over the last couple of weeks. So it's a rising tide lifts all boats. And I feel as though, yes, I won't be surprised to take it out this week, certainly over June, unless you saw something dramatic happen from the internal machinations of the US economy and whether that was going to derail anything. But at the moment, I feel as though there's certainly more upside than downside for a lot of these equity markets. And we made reference to that with the UK 100. We're making reference with the US markets and certainly the Australian market. So, possibly this week you could take it out, Nadine.
All right, Peter, thank you so much for joining us for The Trade. Have a good week.
Thank you.
Peter McGuire there from trading.com. He's the CEO. All right, that does it for this episode of The Trade. Stay with us. Plenty more to come.
The Trade was brought to you by Vantage Markets, delivering one of Australia's most trusted and award-winning trading experiences. Explore smart trading at vantagemarkets.com.au.